Strange World didn't do so hot in the box office. I mean, it had a budget of over 135 million, and when I last checked, it only made 72.1 million in theaters. Everybody had their own reasons why they thought this happened, but there's not enough people talking about the story. Like, if you watch this movie, will you have a good time? First thing, we gotta address the LGBTQ stuff. I saw a lot of feedback around this, so I went in expecting a movie that's shoving the gay agenda down my throat. Imagine my shock when I saw it, and it's one scene where they meet and one scene where they hug. It is so minuscule that I'm shocked that it's a topic of discussion. And people may say, then why include it? Because representation matters. The reason most people may not like this movie is because it makes it harder for them to see themselves in this character. But there's a million characters that are straight. You'll be straight. This movie screams diversity in its characters. And you know why that's okay? Because that's how the real world works, and that's how the real world looks. Now, let's get into the plot. This movie, at its core, is about the Clade family having an adventure in saving the world. Searcher discovers a plant that's the equivalent of electricity and helps transition his people into the modern world. When that plant loses its juice, they pack the bags in order to solve this issue. Also, in order for plant electricity to be a thing, he and his father had to go separate ways, as his dad cared more about exploring the world and having his name written in the history books. Oh, there are two main storylines: saving the world and dissecting fatherhood. This for me makes it a great family experience. It has a cool adventure that can keep the kids entertained and a story that an adult can get invested into. How well they pull off this balance is, though, quite questionable. This movie doesn't have a bad guy, in the traditional sense anyway. In fact, it can be summed up in one single scene.
There are no bad guys. The objective isn't to kill or destroy monsters. You're just supposed to build a working civilization utilizing the environment around you.
The antagonistic force comes from the old faithful, the world is ending plot. The main characters and their relationship is what keeps you going until we, save the world. We have a father who mainly cared about exploration and left his family behind. The son has abandonment issues and tries to never be like his father. In the process, he develops the same father and son dynamic with his own son, showing that generational trauma is so easy to pass on. It just has to take a slightly different form. It acts as a cautionary tale to parents to say, let your child be themselves and explore the world as they see fit. Even if they do achieve success on the path you've laid out for them, it will always feel bittersweet until they do it on their own terms. This is Disney. If there's one place they don't hold back, it's the animation quality. They have gone full CGI with this one. I personally am a bigger fan of 2D animation, but that's because I love anime. So shout out to Randy Haycock, Eric Goldberg, and Mark Henn for the occasional 2D scenes we see. In this movie, they play around with a lot of color. The land of Everlonia is given this orange warm color scheme, and it contrasts with the Strange World. The Strange World is more rich, focusing on colors such as red and magenta. It is very clear they want you to see how magical the Strange World is. And I felt that. It was a beautiful visual experience, very much influenced by pulp magazines, Journey to the Center of the Earth, Fantastic Voyage, and King Kong. The character designs are good as well, because they communicate exactly who these characters are at first glance. Jaeger the Explorer is big and has muscles, and has a bit of damage to show off that he has gone through trials and tribulations, in his own way. Searcher is the opposite of that, which makes sense because he's the opposite of his father. Of course, this guy would figure out a way to help his people instead of exploring the wonders of the world through science. Callisto is beautiful but has a more muscular body, and she's really tall, just to help drive home the idea that, she's a strong woman. I'm talking about 3 characters here, but I think you can see where I'm going with this. The voice acting in the show is actually believable. The cast delivers their lines well, and every word is in tune with the overall demeanor of each character. Dennis Quaid makes Jaeger sound like a confident man who knows what he wants. Gabrielle Union sounds exactly like my own black mom would sound in all these situations. And Lucy Liu makes Callisto sound authoritative and powerful, as she should. All in all, they really held it out. This is a great step for representation. But in terms of storytelling, a large majority of the show, you could predict it. Personally, the only thing I didn't see coming was the whole we live on a turtle bit and having to change our mission. Honestly, I'll give this show a watchable out of 10.